will be beginning very shortly. We request all the dignitaries to occupy the chairs. Friends, we'll be beginning with the new session, State of the Economy. Professor Ramesh Ganeshan, Dr. Vinod, and Dr. Dashrath Raj Shetty.
Economics is our routine dialects. Today, we have authoritative to conflicts on the topic State of the Economy. Professor Ramesh Ganeshan, economist, former faculty member at IIM Bengaluru. We have renowned speakers with us, Professor Ramesh Ganeshan, economist, former faculty member at IIM Bengaluru. We welcome you, sir. Dr. Vinod Annigeri, Director, Center for Multidisciplinary Development Research. We welcome you, sir. In conversation with Dr. Dashrath Raj Shetty, Associate Professor in MIT Manipal. We welcome you, sir. I request the moderator to take over the session.
Yeah. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. So, we are here to discuss about the state of economy. I have two scholars in economics on my left and on my right, and you can see one novice or an economic enthusiast in the middle. So, dear friends, Dr. Vinod Annigeri is a professor and former director, Center for Multidisciplinary Development and Research, Dharwad. He is a... Is there
echoing? Is he echoing? Okay, they can hear.
Yeah, Dr. Vinod is a MA and PhD in economics. He is the consultant for World Bank, WHO, USAID, UNDP, Government of India, and Karnataka. On my right, we have Professor G. Ramesh, who has recently retired from IIM Bangalore. He was a part of Center for Public Policy. He is a fellow of IIM Ahmedabad with finance and accounts as his specialization. Friends, today we see that India is heading to become a 5 trillion economy. Over the past 2 centuries, we have seen capitalism, colonialism, socialism, and globalization. We don't know which one of these models is really successful. So we have today seen India playing a prominent role in the global economy. So in this session, we'll learn more about that from our two experts. Now, may I request Dr. Annigeri to make his opening remarks.
Thank you so much for your kind words. Usually people say that post-lunch sessions are difficult. This is post-lunch, post-evening session, tea session. So may be very difficult. That is reflected by the kind of attendance that we have in this session. But don't worry, we will try to make it as interesting as possible and as juicy as possible. The task given to us is to sketch the Indian economy, the present state of affairs of the economy. I am sure Professor Ramesh will agree with me. It is a very difficult task to sketch the economy in a very limited time period. But we will make a modest attempt. First, when we try to understand the economy or the economic situation of any given nation, we need to understand the history of economic affairs of that nation as well. I'm not going to a deep history, but let us try to concentrate on the kind of development discourse which was taking place after the independence and how it has changed over the period of time. When we were started the first plan, the development discourse was hovering around roti, kapada and makan. So roti, kapada and makan was at the center stage of the development discourse, and I am not saying by this time we have fully achieved the targets of roti, kapada and makan. There are some gaps as well. Later on, the development discourse changed to Bijli, Sadak and Pani. So Bijli, Sadak and Pani became the center stage of development discourse, and very recently, after 2014, and rightly so, the development discourse is around Kisan, Kam and Kamai. It was very unfortunate that the farm laws were withdrawn, but the focus of the development discourse is Kisan, Kam and Kamai. So this reflects the mindset of the planners. We have 5-year plans in place, right? So if we understand the mindset of the planners which have designed the 5-year plans, the change in the discourse of the development. Now you may ask me why most of the questions in the Indian economy have still remained unanswered. See, the first plan started in 1950. It is about 13th or 14th plan now. What questions we had when we started the first plan? For example, health situation is bad, education is bad, literacy is not picking up, unemployment is there, roads are bad, water supply is not right, electricity sometimes fails everywhere, we are not able to reach out to the last man in the remote village. So if you look at the question paper of Indian economics, see there is a paper in undergraduate as well as postgraduate, Indian economics is a paper. So I would say on the lighter vein, the question paper of the Indian economy or Indian economics has remained the same from the first plan to the latest plan, whatever. Now you may ask me what you economists are doing if the question paper has remained the same. The beauty of the economists is that for the same question paper we are writing different answer paper every year, right? So the thinking is changing for the same questions, the approach is changing, that is very good. And especially the approach has changed significantly after the new government at the center from 2014 onwards. Now the policy metrics. Why should we be worried about economic scenario, economic situation? What is the ultimate end goal of all this? End goal of all this is to increase the welfare of the population, right? Whatever kind of policies, programs, schemes that you implement, aim at increasing the welfare of the population of a given nation. So in what extent can we understand whether the welfare has increased or not is by the GDP, right? Gross domestic product. For the non-economists, I can only say that GDP, don't get confused, is the national income in very simple terms, right? If the national income of India is increasing, it means that the income generation in the Indian context is increasing. For example, we say that China is growing at 15%. In very simple terms, if the Chinese income is 100 rupees this year, its income will be 115 next year. So when I say that India is growing at 7.5 or 8%, same thing. But the question is, it is not the increase in GDP which is important. To what extent we are able to distribute this increase in income to all the sections of the people, right? That is the welfare issue. So we have not been able to address the welfare issue in the Indian domain very effectively because we keep on saying from 1915 onwards, rich are becoming richer, poor are becoming poorer, right? So the welfare issue needs to be considered very carefully. Now, few stylized facts. I have brought some few stylized facts about the Indian economy. Prime Minister keeps on saying 5 trillion US dollar economy, but a long way to go, Delhi abhi dur hai. And the state of the economy, GDP is growing, and the nature of the GDP, or we can understand that it is steady. If you look at the increase in the GDP from 1960 onwards, it is steadily growing It is very steady. That means the Indian economy is very steady and it is stable. Why it is stable? Because we never depend on any X country or Y country. We are self-resilient. The Indian economy is quite self-resilient. Can I continue? Okay. It is quite self-resilient, so no need. The Indian economy is designed in such a way that it can absorb the shocks, both internal and external shocks. Look at the Sri Lankan economy, what is happening now. So we will not face that kind of a situation. Versatility adds to resilience. We are versatile in, we keep on producing so many products and services, that is versatile. But very recently, the COVID had its impact on the GDP growth, where there was some decline in the growth during the COVID period time. Otherwise, the GDP is continuously picking up. Pandemic causes a spike in fiscal deficit, right? Fiscal deficit is nothing but, again, don't worry, if your income is 10,000, if you are spending 15,000, there is a deficit, right? In the same fashion, the public revenue is getting generated, and if the government of India keeps on spending more than what it is earning, the deficit increases. So we have been able to manage the fiscal deficit in the desired manner. The GDP numbers are quite comfortable, at least from this financial year. The areas of concern is about the unemployment. Why unemployment? Because of so many other bottlenecks in the economy. We have not been able to make sufficient investments which are required to generate employment. So that's an issue. And in order to do that, I think the government is doing some good job on MG Narega. It has increased the pay also this year, a very important instrument to deal with unemployment. FDI, very interesting, from 14-15 onwards, the foreign direct investment. So foreign direct investments have been increasing in the Indian domain. GST collection, very interesting news about is that I think finance minister, while presenting the budget, she said that in the month of January itself, 1,14,000 crores were collected from GST, which is a good news. Why government is able to implement so many welfare schemes is because of the government, there is a buoyancy in the government revenue generation, and government is getting good amount of money so that it is able to spend money for the betterment of the poor people. Another issue is the agriculture. Agriculture, we have been talking and nothing much significant progress has been made. The issue is with agriculture is the cost of production and the prices which the farmers get for their produce. So many studies have found out that farmers of in the Indian context, farmers are caught up in a cost price squeeze. So costs are increasing, the prices are not remunerative, so they are caught up in a squeeze. So how to deal with that? It is not just the production side of economics, it is the marketing side of agriculture which is important. Unless and until we help the farmers to market their sales. It is a good news that the government of Karnataka has established FPOs, Farmers Producers Organization. And recently I am thinking it is not enough if you create Farmers Producers Organization. We must create Farmers Producers and Processing Organization, because what we have to learn from the institutional mechanism of milk union. Milk union was created some time back. There are no middlemen involved, right? Each farmer in each village will pour in some milk, and a register is maintained. The milk gets collected in a big truck, and that truck goes to the processing unit. Milk gets processed. I get my milk in the morning, and farmers are happy. As consumers, we are happy. No middleman involved. So I am also thinking on this way. I think we are on the verge of initiating this experiment near Dharwad. Why can we not think of a tomato union, right? We see or we read in the newspapers, farmers bring tomatoes and put the tomatoes on the road, and so much of produce is destroyed. What are we doing? We must do something for this, right? So I think these are the issues which are haunting in my mind, but I will stop here. I have been tried to put some of the things before you, and if there are any issues, we will discuss. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. I'll come back to you with many more questions after opening remarks by Professor.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, I'd put it off thinking that this could be crossing the echo. So, I mean, thank you. So, to begin with, it's fine, no? Yeah. So, to begin, I'm happy to be here. In the morning when I was seeing the sessions and the previous sessions, I was quite excited to see. I mean, I was telling the organizers that so many youngsters were attending, okay, because normally, I was really expecting my age group when I came. Unfortunately, it was all youngsters, and that really appealed to me because, like, I'm a professor. You are my target segment. My age group is not my target segment. Okay, so that's a very significant change, I would say. I've been always seeing this Manglore Literary Festival. This is the first time I'm coming, but I've seen some of your talks in the YouTube in the past, and those are really very interesting. So I always used to wonder who are these guys, and today I got to meet many of them. And I should say it's a fantastic arrangement, the way even they were talking to me and then organizing. I really appreciate and wish all the success and like that. Now, economic status, I will make it maybe, he has taken it from 1947 to maybe 2014, sir. and then and then maybe I'll take a little bit. Now what has happened, not just economics, even history, not just history, even economics, is pre-2014 and post-2014. Like you have been discussing in the past, the previous sessions, rewriting history. I think economics also is getting rewritten. Not just the history, even the future is getting rewritten, So let me see if I can, sell you this idea, okay. To begin with, I will give two options to you people, okay. Crony capitalism, you all understand crony capitalism, okay. Nexus, industries, corporates, government, then rotation, black money and all that. With all that, government can deliver 12% growth rate. And without this, if government can deliver 8% growth rate, what will be our voting for? What will be our vote for? What will be our vote? Will anybody really be, I would like to see at least somebody say, I want 12%. All of us keep lamenting it. All of us keep lamenting, saying that, oh, that was the days. Money was rotation. It was all there, okay? And then there was access to capital. But what today you have is access to formal capital, access to global capital, access to financial institutional capitals and all that, not from some reservoir and things like that, So the first point is, if you are moving from that economy to this economy, you are going to take a hit on the GDP to begin with, though in the long run, it's going to really help you. Because that 12% GDP and a little bit of corruption, bribery, crony capitalism, it wipes out all the benefit from the 12% GDP. And that's the NPA we were dealing last 5 years. NPA or any of the sickness that you are really dealing with, these are all carryover, including your public sector performance. Those are all the carryover effect of last 70 years policies. It's not that they are bad, it is just that they only partially delivered. Okay. Now, what all that post 2014 we could? Yes, we were on a growth path, and let me take this $5 trillion. What is important about the $5 trillion? The importance about the $5 trillion is that we will anyway achieve $5 trillion, if not in 3 years, in 5 years. If not in 5 years, you will achieve in 7 years. But the point is, if you are going to achieve that $5 trillion in 7th year, instead of, let's say, in 4th year, you will remain where you are. People, if you can achieve it faster, you can lift more people from the poverty line. Okay. You can have more equitable development. Otherwise, in 7 years, per capita income would have gone up, inflation would have gone up, below poverty line population would have remained the same, education would have remained the same, health would have remained the same. What is important is to really pace up the growth rather than, business as usual. You remember, sir, one of the important point of those history you are saying, Hindu growth rate. Unnecessarily, I mean, they couldn't achieve anything, they put the blame on us, calling it Hindu growth rate. I don't know what I will do with the Hindu growth rate. Okay, I was part of it. I was in government, I was an economist. You are also part of that. Okay, so we cannot disclaim it. Then comes, look at the Make in India. What is the importance of Make in India? I'm just trying to make you understand I'm just giving the insights. I'm not giving you statistics. I thought I'll give, but statistics are all floating around. What is the importance of making in India? We had import substitution, sir. We had export promotion. All these strategies we have tried in the past. Industrial policy 56, 91, 81, all those things. But the beauty is today when I speak of Make in India, when Modi ji speaks of Make in India, today India is the global market, global buyer. Those days we were nowhere. Today all countries are chasing us. Okay. So who should make for us? Should India make for us or global players will make for us? So when you talk of pharma, automobile, electronics, defense, aviation, we are the largest buyer of planes. We are the largest buyer of defense equipments. Okay. And we will be the biggest exporter of defense equipment in 5-7 years. Give 5-7 years and then see where we are and like that. Then we are after this corona, we will become the global hub for pharma. We are the global hub for automobile. We are the global hub for the electronic goods and like that. So this is what is really Make in India. Why? Because our domestic demand is so, and why should we really leave that? That's where he comes from when they say domestic. Now, I'm just giving the symptoms of what's happening, sir. Policies, though, is behind that, isn't it? We are the fastest growing club of unicorn. 94 is the last I read. I'm mentoring one startup. I keep telling him that you will be the 100th unicorn. Okay. Now, what does unicorn mean? Recently, Sri Lanka crisis, our government gave $2.5 billion to Sri Lanka. China gave $1.5 billion to Sri Lanka to repay China's loan. Okay. So, now the point is $2.5 billion is 2.5 unicorn. You understand where we are? That's the beauty. I mean, unicorns. I mean, today even our movies are unicorn. Okay, that's the way things are really going on. That's the world scale we are really living on. And that is what governments want you to dream. Not settle with, one bridge here, one road there, and some cars there and like that. Few more minutes, okay? And then look at the policy reform, GST. See, GST, suppose when some surgery is going on, don't go and ask the patient, sir, how is the service? What's your feedback and all that? It will be bad only, okay? Wait for 3 to 5 years. So much of streamlining has happened, leakages will get plugged. In fact, rates will start falling. Okay, if that happens, what it has happened, it has taken off discretion from state officers and others who will do things and like that. It has reduced the competition among states, otherwise they were all fighting among themselves only, Then, food security, we are really sitting pretty. Not just food security, even climate security. At our stage of development, to really talk of climate security, even other countries are shying away from that. And solar, for example, is no mean achievement. Let's at least count our blessings. That's what I would really say. Let's not undermine what we have really achieved, And ease of doing business. Then bankruptcy code. These are all really global level today. Ease of doing, yes, the bureaucracy is still slow, but at least a lot of things have been streamlined, okay? But bankruptcy codes are all really, we are at a global level, and we are going through the transition, and these youngsters are the, guinea pigs of the transition, and I'm sure they will come out successful and like that, Then inclusivity, but for the fintech, we would have crumbled during the COVID time. There is no way we could have transferred money. The guy is traveling by train from Bombay to UP, his money is transferred. Okay, how did it happen? This is the beauty. I mean, wherever he is, that sort of healthcare they were getting, food benefit they were getting, and like that. Then, now 2 points I will mention. The really a good sign of leadership varies. These are all leadership, of course. One, the way we managed COVID and vaccination. Believe me, forget other countries. None of our own people gave the government a chance. They know it is going to fail. It cannot match. You know, death rate. What sort of death rate they were predicting? What sort of COVID rates they were predicting? Where are we? Isn't it? We really managed beautifully. Okay. And vaccination. Last I read about 175 crore, 180 crore. I mean, imagine, I mean, for a country like this, you know, when there was no vaccination, and how many complications you heard, you know, and what sort of achievement, and we are global, probably we would have supplied to 150 countries without compromising our interest. Sri Lanka is obliged you. They agree that, you know, you supported us at the time of crisis. Brazil tells that, you know. So that's the sort of thing that we had. Another leadership I saw is the Ukraine evacuation of students. Believe me, no country has been able to achieve it. Two warring countries, this is the only point they talk to each other, you know. And we got 20,000 evacuated, some other countries also. You know, let's appreciate that. I mean, you know, it was tremendous effort, you know, the way it was done. This is only sample. All other things are also a lot of leadership and there. Two, three pending issues, I would say, is administrative reform. Bureaucracy is still as is varies, business as usual. Then employment, sir, I mean, is still, but I mean, COVID, of course, took the major problem, I would say. Third is the farm bill. Maybe farm bill we'll discuss when we discuss, but that's again a big disappointment because rollback doesn't look nice. Okay. Yeah, please, I'm sorry I took time. I mean, I'm really sorry. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Coming back to Dr. Annagiri. Sir, during your presentation, you said that even now our economics question papers are still the same. And don't you think we as teachers have to make it more, less gloomy? And see, last 8 years or so, we have seen some drastic changes that are happening. We have seen 90+ unicorns, easy access to funds through Mudra, and many positive things happening. Isn't it that we have failed somewhere to put across the, the bright future ahead? I'm not saying that present the facts which are not true, but don't you think that our students deserve to see both the sides of development?
I only said the question paper has not changed, fine. But you forgot to mention that I also told at the same time, I added immediately, we have given new answer paper every year. So that new answer paper is the positive side. Though the question paper has remained the same, I think we must also teach the students in the classroom what is the kind of new answer paper. I think Professor rightly mentioned that so many schemes have been introduced. This is the new answer paper which we are giving. So I think Digital India is also one of the major steps. Digital India, because of the payments, we were able to make the payments, direct transfer to the beneficiary, DTB. So these are the kind of new answer paper which you have produced. Unfortunately or fortunately, if it has not reached the student community at the either undergraduate level or the postgraduate level, it is the fault of ours. So we should make the students to learn that though the question paper has remained the same, answer paper has changed positively and there are positive results. Hope I have clarified the things. Thank you so much.
Because what I see is most of the cases, we as teachers always present a gloomy, not that all are doing that, we always do that. Sir, now last time when I was just listening to one of the lectures by Sri Guru Murthy, he said that colonization is past. He saw capitalism, it also failed, socialism also failed, and globalization, we are still confused. Now, when Modi ji spoke about Atmanirbhar Bharat, all were apprehensive, and we saw the similar thing happening in America as well, when Trump told that we will make most of the things in America, and he levied special taxes on certain imports. Now, how do you see the success of Atmanirbhar Bharat in the current context?
Atmanirbhar Bharat, I think it has to succeed. And what you said is communalism, communist philosophy, capitalist philosophy. See, these are all the thought processes. See, thought processes are changing over a period of time, right? So, and Atmanirbhar Bharat is also a thought process which has changed in the recent past, because I said our economy is resilient. It is not dependent on other economies. So, within the mind of Prime Minister Modi ji, he wants to see that India should not be dependent on others. So, that is the sum and substance of Atmanirbhar. If you are dependent, look at Sri Lankan economy, right? It was totally spending more than what it was earning. So, Atmanirbhar is ನಾವು ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳ್ತೇವಲ್ಲ, ಹಾಸಿಗೆ ಇದ್ದಷ್ಟೇ ಕಾಲು ಚಾಚಬೇಕು ಅಂತ. So that is the philosophy behind Atmanirbhar. We should be self-reliant, so that, and it cannot fail. But the policy itself is designed in such a way that if you start producing on your own, for example, the COVID response to our COVID impact, right? We had no PPP kits when the COVID attacked India. No single PPP kit was not there. And now India is exporting PPP kits and vaccination. So this is Atmanirbhar. So Atmanirbhar will take, but it takes time.
Thank you, sir. Now, so you spoke about the 5 trillion economy, and it's better we achieve it much faster. Recently, I was going through one of the newspaper articles. So there are discussions going that India is going to borrow approximately 15 lakh crores, and it was around 11 lakh crores last year. So it's a significant part of our GDP. Is it good for India or bad? How is it going to go?
So, I mean, in the sense, I always say that growth is different from development, okay? So, in the past, we always said that, so don't pursue growth alone, side by side, what we call in management as ambidextrous. So, you have to be ambidextrous to take care of the development. So, what is development? This government, even in the worst of the time, and I don't want to be supporting like that, but the point is that I want us to have hopes. I want people like them to have hopes. That's why I'm really, because there's too much despair, okay? This government takes care of the last guy, okay? Even worst of the COVID time, hospitals were very fast ramped up. Migration was taken care. And UP, I know, I was tracking personally, how they were tracking, helping people who got migrated back to the city like that. So today, like you are saying, we have built a resilience. We will not have the Bengal famine. We will not have that sort of issues now. We have got the food security, as I said. So we will not follow below a certain level. Okay. Now, it's only if you take care of that, then you keep doing the growth. And there is something called, it's called permeation effect or something like that. It keeps permeating, develops, and it will reach the last level. And another way they take care is the percolation effect. That's the right word. And so what happens is that he's also taking care of MSME and then the micro business. So that's the way it is,
So during a lunch
And 5 trillion, let me make one. Why I feel 5 trillion is possible. In fact, I've been pushing this agenda. Just 5 states can deliver 1 trillion each. Karnataka, Gujarat, Maharashtra, UP, Tamil Nadu. These sort of states, if they want, they can another 4 to 5 years. I gave sort of a template to UP for that, Second thing is, you take 5 sectors can deliver 1 trillion each. Defense, pharma, garment, software, hardware, automobile. 20 years back, we are zero in forging, 20, 30 years back, forging and forging industry. Today, we are really the global hub for that. Without that, you can't be having defense and automobile and things like that. So these are the ways to really develop an idea, rather than shooting it down. Yeah.
So we saw the withdrawal of agricultural bills. So will it have the negative impact on how our economy will grow? And do you think we'll have to reintroduce the same in some other way or with some modifications?
I presume, you want to say something, sir? No. I presume it will come back in some form, okay. Second thing is, policy, you have to always look at it from 2 angles, okay. One angle is the content of the policy. Okay, what is it that you are trying to reform, how you are trying to reform, and what sort of commitments you are making. Another more important factor about policy reform is that what is the signal you are sending? Okay, now that signal now, people are getting wary of that. Okay, that should not have happened because we thought that we are there. Now, when you think that we are there, okay, then you call Dunkirk, okay, then people develop, then, it puts a question mark on all other reform measures. So at least for that they have to do. And I'll take one more minute, why this farm bill is important. See, you cannot increase agriculture production only by pouring more water, more fertilizer, more pesticides. You need institutional reform. You need legal reforms. Otherwise, growth may happen. Farmers will get zero. They will get zilch. They will not get anything unless you make these institutional reforms. This was trying that. And the main stakeholders, they are the guys we are trying to change. And they put the spoke in that. Should we be listening to them? Should we be really going by that? I mean, that's something the government has to take. No, I really see it as a signal. It will come back. You have to see, these are like, we call it wheels of juggernaut. It will keep moving. It's like a bulldozing. Nowadays, the latest terminology is bulldozing, isn't it? So market will bulldoze you, time will bulldoze you. Okay, but why don't you do it by design rather than by force,
Would you like to add something, sir?
Okay, sorry, sir.
Sir, you specialize in health economics. So we have 18% GST on health insurance. Do you think that it impacts the health sector badly? What's your opinion?
No, I am in health economics and we have been advocating.
You have been very economical.
No, sir, we have been advocating for the reduction in this GST of 18% because I was instrumental in forming Indian Health Economics and Policy Association 10 years back, and we keep on holding conferences in all the places of the country on the topical themes in health economics, and health insurance is very important. But as an economist, I can only advocate, but it is the GST Council which is making a decision on the quantum of GST on health insurance, and I think we need to cry somewhere. Only the crying child gets the milk. So as a professional group or on some fora, we need to complain about this. Why? Because the health spending in India is considered to be unorganized spending. And what is the quantum of health spending? If 100 rupees is spent on health, about 25 to 30 rupees is spent by the government, and 70 to 75 rupees is spent by the households, like you and me, out of my pocket. It is called as whoops in health, out of pocket spending. So out of pocket spending is about 70 to 75%, and only about 4 to 5% of the Indian population has health insurance. That means major chunk of the health spending is unorganized spending. So we can make this unorganized spending into an organized spending only when we increase the net of health insurance. And as you rightly said, if it is 18%, the middle or lower middle people cannot buy health insurance, right? So a lot of skimming practices will come into force. These are the issues which have been debated across the country, but I think we should make it known again to the GST Council that it's an important issue and we need to reduce it in the near future.
Just one point on that. Just today I get a mail from the institute where I draw pension. For my age, my annual premium, if it is 18,000 rupees, GST is 3,300 rupees. If my son goes for a GIC insurance, his premium will be the GST, 3,300 rupees. I mean, what sin we do. I mean, it's really very significant. And then on a premium of 28,000, 5,000 rupees GST. Okay.
Sir, at least the senior citizen should be exempted from GST.
Anyway, I'm somebody who never cribs. I mean, if I had to pay, I'll pay for that. But what we have to do, sir, probably up to certain premium give subsidy, maybe keep it 6%, and then beyond that 18% something.
Yeah, 3 lakh coverage, I think it should be 6%. Beyond 3 lakh coverage.
Beyond that, you do that. Why? Because why should we be subsidized? I always believe that never subsidize me. That's what I always believe.
Hope our policymakers listen to us. We, specifically this region, Pandivada, Dakshina Kannada, we come from the land of banks. Yeah, today we have seen lots of bank mergers and parent company being absorbed by the child, so on. And we also have recently seen the creation of bad bank. So what's your take on these banking reforms, merger of banks and the creation of bad bank as well?
Yeah. So incidentally, this bad bank has given it a bad name. I mean, it doesn't really deserve it, and it's morely a sort of a repository of the bank loans, and it's supposed to handle that, so that it's like a hospital. Okay, now you never say sick hospital. Okay, so there's no healthy hospital, it's like that. Now, incidentally, I was on the board of a bank. What I have realized is that that's also from Manipal only. In fact, recently, as you said, this place used to zap me. From just this place, how many banks it has really thrown up, and all of them are really significantly large banks. It's not like small, cooperative bank or mutual funds and things like that. So really hats off to people here. They're very enterprising, financially savvy and like that, Now, why the bank merger? Yeah, because like one of the resilience for the bank is how resilient you are. I mean, how much shock you can take. So if you are stronger, you can take a lot more. What is the shock? Some huge loans, NPAs, so you are able to handle. Not only that, suppose if you go to a large bank for a 10,000 crore proposal, it can look at that. In a smaller bank, 10,000 crore means, they will divide it among 5 banks. It's like that. So we do need, a large bank. So that merger should happen, and probably some privatization also may happen. Okay, because I personally feel you can have, I personally feel that, in any field, if you take airlines, telecom, bank, you can have probably 20 to 30% of public sector as private sector to give competition to the private sector. Otherwise, they will run amok. Okay. So that much is enough. Rest can be handled by those people. But we do need a couple of PSU banks to like inclusivity and then other lending that they may not do and like that. But another problem is whether it is small bank, large bank, very large bank, they were all doing the same thing. They never created themselves properly. They never created a niche. They never positioned themselves properly. So government is right in thinking, so who are you guys? You are all doing the same thing. What's the big deal about? If AIMS, All India Institute, is going to do the same thing that some nursing home does, then what's the difference between All India Institute of Nursing, medical science and nursing home in Manipal? That's the sort of debate going on,
Scale economies. If you merge the banks, scale economies will operate.
Huge scale.
Scale
no, but I would rather say, sir, that my point is, if a bank is already, let's say, 10 lakh crore, by merging to 10 lakh, making it 20 lakhs is not a big deal. But if you're really merging some 2 lakhs with 10 lakhs, then there's a scale economics. So I think after a 5 lakh, there is a scale economics, but they didn't exploit it, Yeah.
Sir, now due to the we have, yes, we have.
Sure.
We have seen the postponement of disinvestment of our LIC. So how will it impact our various other decisions according to you?
I think LIC had announced an IPO, right? It has invested the shares from the public.
Public, yeah.
So there was public was confused if the LIC is privatized. And whether the same motto of LIC of profit making continues, or I don't know in what way the private players would be playing the game once it is privatized. So that I feel that is the reason for the postponement of the disinvestment in LIC. I am not sure. Sir, I think you can throw light on this.
What I read through the newspapers is that the Ukraine war, maybe the sentiment was low. That's one of the reasons they have postponed.
Maybe Ukraine war, maybe, I don't know. But this is the thing, if people were not ready to invest if it is going to be privatized.
Just one point, just for, for these people's clarity, you please understand privatization means offloading more than 51%. 10%, 20%, all, everything don't treat as privatization because there'll be still government control, there'll be still a government board. What is important is to have private sector managing it and a private sector board. That happens only the controls, it's called strategic control is given off, okay. But in none of these, that is being contemplated. So I don't think that should be an issue. But market is not ready. It has to absorbing, forget India. London Stock Exchange could not absorb when they privatized British Tele, British Railways and all. It was a big shock. So it's not so easy. PSUs are humongous. Yeah.
Moving to the business houses in India. So when there was this Russia-Ukraine war going on now, we hear lots about oligarchs. Yeah, oligarchs, the large businessmen who have significant influence in the politics and economy of Russia. Do you think in India the same thing is happening? Are a few of the business houses actually controlling Indian economy, or are they playing significant role in Indian policy making?
Yeah, it's a good question. And in fact, even more nearest example now, Sri Lanka. Okay, that also this crisis has come. What I would say is that, the large houses, power you cannot avoid. Okay, and even in other most developed countries, there are large lobbies. Okay, and it's different from those days of licensing and all. Okay, it doesn't happen like that. Today it looks at not like I get a telecom license, I get a gas agency and all. No, they try to influence the policy making. Okay, not just some contracts and things. They don't care. Okay. Now I personally feel when they are growing, sum total of them is the country that also should be growing. And when you are a prime minister of such a country and you are talking at level with all other country heads, you are also not anybody small. Okay. I'll give one small example that will help you understand. So you will know, we have lived through that era. Those days, there was only one UTI, which was the mutual funds. If UTI enters the market will have earthquakes. Okay, it will determine today. Okay, today there is no single investor who can singly, influence the market. That's the sort of resilience and scale we have achieved. Okay, so that's what will happen. Anybody today, if he doesn't control 20, 30, 40% of the market, more than that, like that, he cannot really dictate and control like that. Why are they? Because they are also fighting for their survival. It's not like, they are trying to really, they are not superpowers. India is the superpower.
Because during many political discourses, I don't want to name the business houses, but these two names that probably...
Yeah, at least when they criticize, they should know how to criticize. Yeah. Without substance, they criticize. I mean, how much credence I can give it to them. Karun, if they ask me, I'll give some excellent criticisms. And I used to wonder why they are not saying those things,
So then, one more learning what we can get from the war is about SWIFT.
SWIFT.
Yeah. So the first thing what United States did was to ban Russia and take out Russia out of the SWIFT network. Do you think it's time for our country to come out with its own way of, transferring money?
I tweeted saying that, I wish Twitter and Facebook bans India. Okay, we'll need much more peace and like that. Okay, and SWIFT is again, sir, you have to see it like Atmanirbhar. Okay, in the sense, that's again IT security, that's again in fact, that's again our own, what I will call it, security. India's security is financial security and not just defense, isn't it? So I think it will not be, I think somebody in government will be working, somebody is working on it. We'll be soon coming up with that. And what is important is not we floating it like, some UPI or something. It has to be globally acceptable. Okay. This is the time to drive that because people are hard for that. But who is the guy who can give security that whatever may be your foreign policy, I will not stop SWIFT in your area.
So Now we have come out with rupee. So our neighboring countries are using rupee, and recently even I think Singapore also opted for it. Do you think there is a bright future for rupee where many of the countries accepting that it's becoming new MasterCard or new Visa?
You know, can you take the question, sir? I mean,
You're talking about the UPI?
Yeah, rupee, like the debit card transaction.
Yeah, debit card. See, I think we have gone much ahead of rupee now, because in this year's budget, finance minister has opined that we would be recognizing the cryptocurrency, right? When the cryptocurrency arrives here, see whether you want it or not, the crypto will enter, because it's
cryptocurrency or digital currency?
yes, it's a brother, it's a younger brother of cryptocurrency, but RBI would be issuing the digital currency. It is on the blockchain technology. I think even the RBI currency is based on the blockchain model. So we have gone much ahead of whatever rupee you are saying. So rupee is a history now. We have gone ahead. So ahead, but we should be very careful, because, sir, I would look at this cryptocurrency and digital currency. They are against the elementary common sense of economics. So they are going to fail in the long run, because they are making money out of the transactions which are not relevant at all. And people have invested in cryptocurrency without getting the dividend. See, it's just electronic currency which you can see, but you cannot get it. Sorry.
But cryptocurrency can be far-fetched, but digital currency will, I think, will happen, sir.
I think it's a safer version of cryptocurrency.
Second thing, regarding the rupee, the point is, as I said, it has to be globally acceptable. But the worst problem is, you know what, in the beginning, even now, okay, our own banks and agencies don't promote it, okay, because the packaging by the competitors, MasterCard and those guys, is so good. You have to compete them. That globally is difficult. You know, you remember during emergency, post-emergency, we had something called 777, which was competition to Coca-Cola and Pepsi.
Yes,
You cannot say, I'll take 777 globally and then compete with Pepsi and Coca-Cola and like that. Because our scale, we achieved the scale. Neighboring countries are adopting it. Middle East will adopt, other countries will adopt. But we have to be, our guys have to be aggressive marketing. They have to do, you know, our banks and agents. Let's see how it goes.
And even the plastic currency is fading away in the background of GPay and Paytm.
It will happen.
Plastic currency is fading away.
It will happen. It will happen.
Okay, one more thing. Now we have seen countries trading in their own currencies. Recently we saw Saudi Arabia trading with, they had an agreement with China that they would trade in yuan, and Russia has also put forward a proposal that, you know, we'll trade in Russian currency. So how do you see as things move ahead, will dollar lose its shield?
So this is like a pendulum, in the sense, so will you ask me, we'll go back to gold standards, okay, like and will you go back to barter? Okay, you're not going to go back. So these are like some dual agreements, multilateral agreements and like that. But if you have to really do globally, it has been internationally accepted currency, which people have to have faith so that you don't manipulate your currency. Imagine the global currency today is yuan of China. Okay. Now, then, I cannot do any forex trade for next 3 years thinking how China will behave. But I can fairly depend on sterling or dollar, or because I know reasonably the government will not manipulate the market. It will be by and large market determined. That guarantee we don't have from, and they are also large economies. Imagine dollar itself took over from pound, isn't it? So that is the market power we need. Right now, I don't see that market power with anybody.
So, in the West, we see America recently is, withdrawing its currency to make dollars stronger. On other side, in the Far East, we see Japan printing more and more currency. And as in the map, we are in the middle, and we print new notes only if you have sufficient foreign currency backing. So what's your opinion? Should we be in the middle as we are doing now, or should we have higher liberty of printing more notes?
I promise to pay the bearer the sum of rupees 200, right? Have you seen this writing on the note? What does that mean? Suppose you lose confidence in this piece of paper. If you take this paper to the Governor of Reserve Bank of India, he should be able to give you the worth of this. That is why it is written. So as the professor rightly mentioned, gold standard. So when currencies were issued, there was a gold standard, there was a gold backing. Then gold was not sufficient. Then Bank of England started silver standard. Even that was not sufficient. Then they started foreign reserve standard, right? So, but Indian rupee doesn't have any backing at all. We just keep on printing notes. Whenever we require money, we just print notes. So that is the weakness of currencies like this. But dollar, when you speak about the dollar, dollar is weakest within the United States. $1 cannot purchase, $1 is about 60, 70 rupees. But $1 in US cannot purchase a coconut. Wherein we can purchase a coconut here in 20 rupees, right? So dollar is powerful outside US and dollar is very weak. Now they are taking some measures. That's, it's a transition process which is going on. Hope I have clarified the things. Sorry.
Yes, sir. Yeah, this will be the last question from my side, then we'll go on to the audience. So there's a famous saying that US lives on credit and Japanese live on their debit cards. And which one is better for India? India, we still believe in savings and other aspects. So what is your take on that?
So, geographically we live in between. Okay. So we had a very high saving economy. In fact, right from second plan, probably we were like that. 1950s say, it's not just small saving is the biggest contribution in India. And that has been always. And then we save in several forms: gold, house, assets, and then now cryptocurrency probably. Okay. So this is where it is. But I would say that what is important is, how do you monetize? Sometimes we have to monetize all this. That's what the government is really looking at. So it pours into investment, and it doesn't become what I can say, dead stock or some. It should be a flow, not just a stock. So that is something very important. That America is very good. Incidentally, for example, I was just studying. You understand this ratio, credit deposit ratio. If the deposits are 100 rupees, banks lend only 60 rupees in India, somewhere between 55 to 60. Globally, it ranges from 110% to 200+%. We are the lowest. Okay, so we still don't have the appetite to invest. Okay, resources are never a problem. Okay, just an appetite to invest we need. And appetite to lend also is totally missing, So with the merger of banks and all, probably that should happen like that. Yeah.
No, I think we'll throw open the forum for questions from the audience. Is there any questions from the audience?
I think you have exhausted all the issues.
Yeah.
He has exhausted.
Yeah. He took Indian economic development.
Well, I think you spoke on the technical side of economics. I agree about all that. But I have a question, my genuine question, about occult economics. Occult economics in the sense, if you see, Gujaratis are the leading business. You said about the two families, AA, I don't want to name them also. Okay, but my question is, like most of these people, they do Kubera Puja, Lakshmi Puja and all that. And not just Gujaratis, even the Jews, the Rothschild, all this, that they are the richest family. They are remote controlling the global economy and all that.
No, you are echoing. We are not able to
okay.
We are not able to get you.
Without mic will sound that. Okay. Well, I was speaking about the occult side of economics.
Okay.
Occult, OCCULT.
Okay, fine.
In the sense, he said, there is a saying that these two people are remote controlling the Indian economy. These two people, okay, so two families. Don't want to mention again. So I heard that they are doing Kubera Puja, that, this and that. And not just about these people. The other is about the Jews, the Rothschild family. These are all conspiracy theories, I agree. But is there an occult side to economics? In India, whenever there is fault, we do Lakshmi Puja, Kubera Puja and all that. Does instance, ISRO, no, when they launch a satellite, they give a small model to people.
See. No. Please, don't blame economics for the kind of puja that the people are doing. Economics is puja neutral, the science of economics. In any book of economics, you don't find that you need to perform the puja. Whether economics says so, it is your belief, it is your faith. Why are you blaming economics for that? Economics never says that you must do the puja, Kuber puja, Lakshmi puja, never. No. Economics only says that hard work will fetch you the income. If you believe that, or if some people believe that they get money by doing puja, it is their personal belief. Economics has nothing to do with this. I hope I have clarified the things to you.
My take will be, sir, suppose, suppose, let's say you will say he is God-fearing, you say. Now, if you think that, I personally think, let's say, if it can bring lot more ethical business in line, in fact, it's not offside economics, it's offside business you are talking. If it can make business environment more ethical, I'll be very happy. But a lot of people do puja to actually compensate for lack of ethics, also, isn't it? You go and put money in the hundi, actually, isn't it? Which is also bad. But if it brings God-fearing and then you think that you will be ethical, I would say, increasingly it's ethical economics is good economics. That's something we should drive in the minds of the people.
Amartya Sen, Ethics and Economics. He has written a book on. His book is neutral. I have read it. Ethics and Economics. What are the ethical issues in economics? Right? Whatever he has, that is his personal opinion. But
whenever we write something, it is for others. Okay, so don't blame him that he doesn't follow.
But good question.
We'll move on to the next question.
Hello, sir. Myself, Adarsh Shagde. Sir, my question is that.
Islamic economy and Hindu economy and Chinese model. How did this arise? And do you think it will continue and it will gain momentum for this kind of economics?
I think if you look at the present trends which are happening, each religion has its own paradigm of economics, though partially. Leave apart the mainstream economic books, right? Zakat, for example. Zakat was a tax in Islam, right? Zakat ಕಟ್ಟಿ ಅಂತ ನಾವು ಕರಿತಿದ್ವಿ. ಜಕಾತ್ ಇಸ್ ಎ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್. ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ಸ್ ಪಾಸ್ ಆಗ್ತಿದ್ರೆ ಜಕಾತ್ ಕಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ರು. ಸೊ ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಹಿಂದೂ ಟ್ರೆಡಿಷನಲ್ಲು ಸಮ್ ಎಕನಾಮಿಕ್ಸ್ ಇಸ್ ದೇರ್, ರೈಟ್? ಕ್ರಿಸ್ಟಿಯಾನಿಟಿ ಮೇ ಬಿ ಹ್ಯಾವಿಂಗ್, ಐ ಡೋಂಟ್ ನೋ. ಸೊ ಬಟ್ ದಿ ಟ್ರೆಂಡ್ ನೌ ಈಸ್ ದ್ಯಾಟ್ the identity crisis has, I think, triggered all this. People would like to identify with their own philosophy, with their own religion now, and they would like to say that my religion has so much of economics content, right? And Hindus will say that my religion or my philosophy has so much of economics content. So this is going to rise now. Whether it is correct or not, it's a different issue. But neutral economics, it all started from, classical Adam Smith, father of economics, all started. Keynes came in 1930s. They are religion-free economists, right? Cambridge School, all that. But attaching religion to economic thought is a recent phenomena, which I think is not very correct. Sir, I think whenever there are two economics, there are three opinions, right?
Supply exceeds demand, okay. And the way I see it is, my take is that, by and large, I agree with him. What's the question? I'm sorry, just sleep, because I was just joking. Okay. So, what is omnipresence of economics? Okay. Just as we say that, whether you believe in God or not, He will work on you. Okay. So, whether you believe in economics or not, it will work. In the sense, certain things, sometimes we say that government did this wrong, government did that wrong and all that, but there is always, we call it wheels of Jagannath in, not Jagannath, okay, which will anyway operate, okay, and like when the prices go up, demand has to fall like that. So there are certain underlying principles which governs all human beings globally, and that's what drives the human behavior. Increasingly he will know it. We talk about behavioral economics. Okay, and that's really very overpowering, economics, yeah.
Sir, I think you can ask without the mic.
Or you can come here or something like that, sir. Or you can speak from here also.
So far we have heard most of the positive aspects of Indian economy, but I am going to shell out now the negative aspects of Indian economy, how it can be addressed. The first thing is, 10% of the Indian population is enjoying India. 30% of the Indian population is managing their life in India. The rest 60% is suffering in India for the last 70 years. Second aspect, 80 crore people are given food security even for the last 2 years. That means 80 crore people are unable to feed themselves and 80 crore people are poor. Of them, before Corona, 25 crore people were living in India without any meal in the night. 25 crore people. It's a statistics. Then we are dreaming of American roads. But still 2 lakh roads have been the target for the next 5 years in India. We don't have connectivity, rural connectivity in the road sector. How can you dream of American roads to be in India? Then 65 crore people, 65 crore voters, very significant portion. Out of 90 crore voters in 2019, 65 crore voters were anti-development voters and anti-nationalists. 45% of the rural people are illiterate, even today. 1% of the population is holding 70% of the wealth of India. Our debt trap. No, I want to highlight these points. No, but we should address that. So what the question is,
Government is doing nothing.
no, I'm here. Now, there are 4 more things. We have got immature politicians.
We don't know any of this.
No, insensitive. How can we address all these issues? These are the main dark areas for the last 70 years we have not addressed, as such told by sir. We have got the same questions, but we have no answers. We want answers even at least for the next 5 years. What will be the answers to all these major questions?
Yeah, that's the question. Yes, he asked questions and answers. He only said,
Raised by you, we are not saying, we are not disputing them. They are the facts which exist. And now the issue is and there is no magic button to change the scenario overnight. There is no click, these things cannot be changed at the click of the button. It takes time. It takes time, and you may say that 60 years or 75 years have lapsed now, what have you done? That is what I said in my initial remarks. Most of the issues have remained the same, but you should, or you or me and everybody should understand to what extent we have progressed in solving these issues. And these issues cannot be solved overnight. You should keep that in mind. It takes time. Such a huge country, Sir, you want to say something?
no, you are through?
I am through.
Sir, I would like to, I quite agree with you because we keep coming across. No, I just wanted to give a positive spin. That's why I really stuck to that. We don't hold brief for anybody like that. Point is, sir, there are studies which have shown that inequality is increasing, all of you have heard that, but the point is bottom layer has gone up. It's not that they are remaining and then the top layer has been growing. No, bottom layer has grown up, top layer is growing faster. Okay, so that is something if we can, through some, autocratic measure, if we can control the top layer also. We had all that, okay? We had 95% income tax and all that. From there, we have moved to 30% and things like that. So there are certain, this is again the economics, okay? There are certain inexorable trends in economics. If you try controlling it, it's again the poor who will suffer more than the rich guys. Okay, one.
So, to work on making, the lower class move upwards.
Second thing, sir, I also believe, if you believe these statistics, today I can, I travel a lot, not just cities and like that, villages and all. You do find in villages, if you go today, roads, hospitals, nursing homes, okay. My maid servant sends children to, school, not government schools. Government schools enrollments are coming down drastically. I was on a commission in Karnataka. In government schools, private schools are increasing. Without affordability, how is this happening? Okay, no World Bank is lending them, So let's also take cognizance of that. And another thing is, sir, I mean, when you say not having one dinner, this thing, I don't know, okay, but the reality I can tell you, people's expectations keep going up against the new benchmark you are saying they are poor. It's not the bench, I don't know, I mean, you and me are same, era we belong. What ration rice you are eating in 50s and 60s? What ration rice, and then what are we, when did we last go to a ration shop? People are going, a lot of people are going, a lot of people are taking. I mean, in Tamil Nadu, I can say that every time they announce a scheme, people land up there. But something happened this time in Tamil Nadu, Pongal gift and all that. Immediate fuel all over. But that was the thing we were getting in 60s. I have seen my parents standing in the food price shops and then trying to, I was lower middle, you can say. I was not below poverty line. My father was a teacher. Okay. So, aren't there something visible? Is Manglore today or Manglore 20 years back, 30 years back, or even surroundings nearby? I've been visiting Sringeri last 20 years. It's not the same. I can walk into a bank, do all my transactions online, and everybody, I see so many people walking in. I see people demanding services, whether it's bank development agencies or like that. Let us start from there. Let's not get stuck with the past. Like that's the basic he was explaining. That's the foundation. We had a good yes, sir. Please.
Can I add something to your
Please, sir. No, you only counter me.
Sir, whatever you presented, don't believe those facts on the face of it. For example, simple thing. Poverty BPL cards in the state, right? It's all fake business. I have done many surveys on BPL and the minister himself or herself, they have said that there are many fake BPL cards. ಯಾರ್ದಾದ್ರೂ BPL ಮನೆಗೆ ಹೋಗಿ ನೋಡ್ರಿ sir, go to any random BPL house, you find 2 motorcycles, 1 car, nice TV, fridge, everything is there. But that is a BPL family. So don't believe those numbers on the face of it. There is lot of story behind those numbers. I can give you any set of such numbers, but there is a story behind is different.
But it is true, sir. There are at least 20%, 30% who cannot access health, probably who cannot access schools, who cannot access foods and like that. I hope, the government is doing something and all these things will permeate to that. We should argue, we should take up the case, Another thing, maybe if I can make one very strong point, let us not demonize any industrialists, let us not demonize, any of these investors, promoters, unicorn guys and things like that. They also have a role to play and, there's a lot of benefit being drawn from that. Okay, it's not like you criticize but never demonize. Don't make anybody a target. Don't make anybody a target for all the ills of the society. I for one, I don't give a damn to any of these guys in my life.
I think we'll have to see that we take the lower set upside rather than bringing them downward.
Exactly.
Yes, sir. A question from you.
Yeah, I have a question. I think in this discussion we did not went to this cooperative sector.
Yeah.
Because the central government has actually has created a separate ministry also. And I think we have already discussed communism, capitalism, and
He
all
mentioned
those issues.
FPOs and all that.
Why can't cooperative sector can be the real solution for India specific solution?
No, sir, I think I did mention in the passing that Government of Karnataka has initiated FPOs, Farmers Producers Organization, in almost all the districts. And I've also heard that a committee is being constituted to look into the cooperative sector management in the agriculture sector. Sri Ayyappan, who I think got the Padma Shri last month. Yes. He is the chairman of that committee which is looking into this cooperative business. And even had the opportunity of talking to him about this tomato union, which I said is a cooperative movement. So Government of Karnataka has given a serious thought to this, and to reap the benefits of this movement you need some time, about 4 or 5 years or so. But serious attention is being paid by the government on the cooperative sector.
Any more questions from the audience? Yes.
Regarding this Atmanirbhar Bharat, it's a beautiful concept, but still we have to achieve or we have to do so many things. Rural India, uneducated, so on, so told. So my question is, it will take how many time, how many years to reach? Because it's a beautiful one, I think.
Individually, I have not reached Atmanirbhar. I am 60 plus.
I think we have to do so many things because rural, we have to reach nook and corner of the India. So Atmanirbhar Bharat, I think it will be a beautiful solution regionally, nationally and internationally also. I think please tell something.
Before I answer your question, I think I am feeling very happy that this is a session which has got most of the questions, right? Right from the morning.
Very incisive.
Yeah. Sir, your question is very wise question, but not a nice question to answer, right? But it takes time. It takes time, and nobody can say this is the cutoff point where Atmanirbhar can be achieved. It's a transition process. It goes on and keep on expanding. The Atmanirbhar concept goes on expanding depth-wise and width-wise. So when we go on doing a expansion business, the target also moves forward. But there is no cutoff point.
For your satisfaction, Atmanirbhar, I would like to say that when government announces that, it followed up with certain working groups, certain policies and changes are getting done, and certain targets are all there, and defense, for example, I know a lot of things are happening. I mean, I have seen some of those, DRDOs and other ones, how they were 10 years back and now how they are, like that. Sea changes are happening, in those places.
For your information, Institute of Economic Growth at Delhi, it has brought out many working papers, sir, on the Atmanirbhar Bharat. What could be the time limit and what are the weaknesses in Atmanirbhar Bharat? If you are interested, you can go to that website where those papers are floated on the net.
I have a question, sir. I have heard that Bangladesh per capita has slightly crossed the European per capita. I believe that the growing population of the exposure is threat to one's lifestyle. So would it be good for controlling the population for enhancing everyone's lifestyle, for bringing down poverty as a whole?
I think I had made a PPT, but unfortunately I could not present this. See, this is the graph where the population projection have been made, and if you look at this is the current population, and around 2050 or more than that, we would be able to control some population in the, that is the projection, UN projection. So 2050 or 2080, because whatever the fruits of development are taking place, it is being eaten away by the population. So that is the reason why we are not able to increase the per capita. What is the per capita? Which is the denominator and the numerator, total income and population. You divide it and you get that, right? In Bangladesh, population is controlled, right? But India is population increasing, your denominator is increasing. So the real value of per capita income is less, but the overall GDP is increasing.
Give you a management answer, okay. So there was this debate and book called Can Elephant Dance? Okay. Now when you are really want to dance with 130, 140 crore, it is a challenge. So again, control is not really a word, but even if you look at the normal declining growth of population, even that is difficult to handle, sir, because what is in his mind is concern is that we have a backlog of last 50 years. See, I'll tell you what, any infrastructure you put today, even in Manglore, you are actually putting for the traffic of last 20 years, not for the next 20 years. Okay, you are all catching up with the last 50 years. Forget next 50 years catching up like that. That's where we are, okay. Bangladesh, yes. I mean, one thing that really made a difference, which I want to stress about Bangladesh is leadership, And she could really drive and take it on a development path, and she could really deliver in spite of their population density is probably as high as ours. Exactly, okay. So, in spite of that, they have really achieved it, So that's really appreciable. Bangladesh, I am not running down. It's really appreciable what they achieved. But for us, we don't have any comparison to really say that if they can achieve, why can't we do, and things like that, And we don't have an answer. In fact, this is one area I'm right now working on. If you invite me for the next literary festival, I'll present something on the population. Next question. Yeah.
Thank you, sirs. I think this was the last question we could take from the audience. I think we'll discuss.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. This was the last question that we could take from the audience. It was a great session from both our experts, Dr. Vinod and Professor Ramesh. Thank you, sir. And you are a great audience. And I think our session had large number of questions. And I hope we have done justice by answering all your questions. I hope India emerges out as Vishwa Guru, and the 5 trillion economy becomes a reality in short. And thank you very much.
I go back very, very happy. I'm really happy.
Thank you, speakers, for such a lucid discussion and sharing your expertise knowledge with us.
40 minutes. From a home to airport is 1.5 hours. Now 2 ghanta lega when I go back.
Thank you, sir.
For
Thank
our
you
1 hour
being with
15
us.
minutes. But I'm very happy that I really made it. I'm very happy.
Indeed, it was an interesting session. Thank you.
Yes, sir. No, we are happy. We are.
Yes. I request Vikas Puttur, Durga Ramdas Katil to honor the dignitaries with a memento as a token of inspiration. Delegates, we have come to the end of today's event. We shall assemble tomorrow in Auditorium 1 at 10 a.m. for the session Patya Vimarshe, Kannadigara Kanninalli Samskritika Bharata, Civilization Narratives, Kannadada Raja Manetanagalu, Kashmir Files, Real and Real.